Kill Count, where we tally up the victims in all our favorite horror movies and show you how they were made. That's right. I'm James A. Janice, and today we're looking at Late Night with the Devil, which had its wide release in 2024. Late Night is framed mostly as a late night show, naturally. The majority of the runtime is meant to be live footage of the show Night Owls, as it aired on Halloween night in 1977. Host Jack Delroy deals with an increasingly sinister 90 minutes as an evil spirit takes control of his show, exposing a dark part of Delroy's past. Late Night with the Devil was a real buzzy indie movie in the year between its festival premiere and its theatrical release. Critics raved about its structure, tone, and lead performance by David Dastmalchian, whose character Jack Delroy makes this movie much more than just a pastiche of late night influences. Its wide release had a mostly positive reception as well, though it was not without some controversy. Still, it was pretty successful for an indie. It made almost as much as Terrifier 2. Personally, I think this movie's great. Its vibes are immaculate. If you were ever an avid fan of late night shows, like I was with Conan back in the day, you'll love all the nods to tropes of the format. Sure, the backstage stuff breaks the kayfabe a little, but it's cozy as all hell with its 70s aesthetic and bitchin' soundtrack, and that's enough for me to enjoy the ride. Also, I've never met David Dastmalchian, but literally everyone who does says they love the guy. It's true. We last saw him on the Kill Count in The Belko Experiment and Bird Box, but since then, man, he's done so much. A lot of comic book stuff and some of the biggest movies of the past few years. He's a performer who always elevates every role he gets. He makes character actor the highest compliment. It's so good to see him in a leading role, playing a complicated character that you can tell he really understands. Regardless of how you feel about the movie as a whole, everyone can agree he knocks it out of the park. How many people's lifelines will fall flatter than a bad monologue joke? Tough crowd. Let's find out and get to the kills. The movie begins with a production card, and then another, and then another. And would you motherfuckers believe me if I told you there were 6 more after those? Because there are, no shit. This thing has straight up 9 production cards. What, did each of these companies throw in like $5 to make this thing? We're situated into the 1970s with all its upheaval and jowls. Also, it's serial killers, many of whom were associated with cults or the occult. As this war and strife is broadcast to television sets, so is a beacon of hope. The late night show Night Owls with host Jack Delroy, which premiered on the fictional UBC network in 1971. The show quickly became a hit thanks to its host, and I'd argue its sidekick too. Love Gus. Jack signed a 5-year contract right away and had aspirations to dethrone Johnny Carson. It feels weird to explain who Johnny Carson is, but I guess at this point, maybe I should. Carson hosted The Tonight Show for 3 damn decades, from 1962 to 92. At that point, he was replaced by Jay Leno, who was later replaced by Conan O'Brien, who was then replaced by Jay Leno again in a real dick move. Hashtag Team Coco. The love of Jack's life is his wife Madeline, a stage actress whom he considers his muse. No wonder, she's so warm and loving, not an ice queen at all. Jack's also part of a secret society based in the Redwood Forests. It's called the Grove, referencing the real-life Bohemian Grove, which is a similar private gentleman's club. Its membership consists of powerful politicians and world leaders. I mean, it's only where they came up with the Manhattan Project, no big deal. According to this movie, the Grove performs sacrifices and worships those owls from the Outer Wilds DLC. Night Owls fails to get Carson ratings. After a few years, Jack is less of a hot new thing and more of a runner-up, which really starts eating at the guy.
Jack's reputation as perennial also-ran starts to bite. He knows that history remembers only kings.
The narrator here is Canadian actor Michael Ironside, whom we just saw in Hello, Mary Lou Prom Night 2, one of my favorite recent kill counts. Did you know that?
No!
Well, now you do. Things get even worse in 1976 when Madeline is diagnosed with lung cancer. She passes away 2 weeks after a heartfelt appearance on the show.
It is the highest rating episode in Night Owl's history, but still falls a point short of Carson.
Wow, that is fucking sad. Jack took a short break after the death of his loved one, but after he returned, his ratings continued to fall. Yep, been there. He wound up resorting to controversial crash TV tactics and interviews that would spin out of control.
Used to be the f***ing man, Jack. What the f*** happened to you? Huh?
This reference is near and dear to my heart. It's parodying the infamous 1994 Madonna Letterman interview.
You used to be really kind of like cool.
As a big Madonna and late night fan, this video is holy to me. It's amazing. Definitely worth watching all 20 minutes of it.
I tell you what, we are gonna do a commercial and we're gonna wash her mouth out with soap.
And he's gonna smell my underwear.
There are lots of other specific and general references in the Night Owls montages, showing bits and segments that you'd often find on Carson, Leno, or Letterman. This is such an accurate send-up of late night shows, which feel like an American tradition. So it's kind of funny that this was written and directed by a couple of Australians, brothers Colin and Cameron Cairns. You can tell they truly love late night shows and did their best to keep Night Owls authentically 70s. They avoided anachronistic language and made sure the production matched the time period, using an actual multicam TV setup with authentic lighting equipment. They had to shoot digitally, but imitated old studio cameras with color correction, playing around with chromatic aberration and misaligned color channels. As Jack's contract threatens to expire, he plans one big final ratings push on Halloween night. They're gonna pull out all the stops, and we're about to watch the recently rediscovered live footage.
as well as previously unreleased behind-the-scenes footage.
Yes, also that, as unlikely as it'll seem. After a production countdown, the tape begins with another brand car. Didn't you have enough already, movie? The jazzy Night Owls intro establishes its New York setting and our guests for the night. Ooh, can't wait to see Cleo James. The show commences as a late-night Halloween episode would, with plenty of spooks and dukes. The monologue's pretty mid, aside from a joke about Billy Carter, and while Delroy delivers with confidence, you can see the sadness behind his eyes. Dusmulchin says he could relate to the character's duality, since he too had to project charm and confidence while dealing with anxiety and depression in his own life. Their first Halloween guest is a medium named Christu. Love that gold lame, dude. All you're missing is a purple toupee. He says Halloween is a good night to communicate with spirits. He tries to call him up, but his scattershot signals fail to find a target at first.
Your wife has crossed over, see?
You could say that. She ran off with my neighbor 5 years ago.
This guy's hilarious.
Oh, my name's Barry.
That's not it.
No, it has been for 42 years.
Hey, come on, skeleton guy, you can laugh. Or are you just waiting to get over to Fear Street? Christu the con artist eventually finds a mark, a mother-daughter pair in the audience. He claims to channel their dead son/brother. Man, I hate it when charlatans do this shit in real life. Before they throw to commercial, Christu starts having a shoot psychic experience.
I'm getting the name Minnie. Does anyone here know a Minnie? Please accept.
Dropped his accent and everything. And I don't think that I thing is part of his act. Gross. The power briefly surges before Christu comes back from possession. And that's a great time to hear from our sponsors. During the commercial breaks, we're treated to ostensible behind-the-scenes footage. I don't know why this would ever be recorded, or why the characters would discuss the things they do with cameras on them. But hey, whatever. Gotta make this movie work somehow, right? It's fine. This is where we meet producer Leo Fisk, who's been pushing Jack towards more sordid material in pursuit of ratings.
We're running long, late to break. Okay, but we're not bumping Cleo again.
But not. They return with an image you may have seen, since it's at the center of this movie's controversy. According to the Cairns, 3 images in the film were generated by AI and further edited by a graphic designer. They claim it didn't replace anyone getting paid to do the work, since their small crew was already doing most of the visual effects themselves. I personally dislike that it was done, and have mixed feelings about how to express that. I think ultimately, I don't want to dismiss this entire film and everyone who worked on it over this one thing, even if it is important to me. I also know they finished post-production before the launch of ChatGPT-4 and all the AI discussions during the writer and actor strikes. We talk about the issue more in our podcast about the film, which you can see on our other channel, Dead Meat Presents. Jack's next guest is Carmichael Haig, aka one of the best parts of this movie. He's a pompous, grouchy skeptic who used to be a magician. Now he spends his time debunking supernatural claims and dunking on people like Christu. He mentions investigating the Amityville house and says Ed and Lorraine Warren have avoided him. That's despite a cash reward for proof of the supernatural offered by his organization IFSIP, the International Federation of Scientific Investigation into the Paranormal.
100 grand. And how many have taken up the challenge?
Oh, dozens.
And how many checks have you signed?
Yet to sacrifice a nickel, Jack.
Carmichael is a send-up of James Randi, who also began as a magician before becoming a self-described investigator. He, too, was part of a wordy acronymed organization and had a standing cash offer to anyone who could prove the paranormal existed. After almost 20 years, it was retired without them ever needing to pay out a cent. Temperamentally, Randi was much nicer and warmer than Carmichael Haig, who has more of the brash arrogance of a Richard Dawkins or Christopher Hitchens. Carmichael and Christu get into a spat. The skeptic explains the concept of cold reading. The psychic explains the concept of cold water. Jack defends Christu by saying his last message was meant for him. Minnie was once upon a time his private nickname for his dearly departed Madeline. Carmichael still doesn't buy it, and his skepticism makes Christu sick. Oh, like really sick.
Go to commercial. Go to a goddamn commercial.
Ugh, I don't like the look of that goop. They clean up the set and pacify the crowd with Gus, Jack's punching bag sidekick. Seriously, Jack just rips into this poor guy the whole show. Very much an Andy Richter type character. But never mind the mess, producer Leo tells Jack what's up. Christou's upchuck is up in the ratings, so keep it up, dude. David Dastmalchian was eager to take on this role since he has his own obsession with horror hosts. He credits Cremation Mortem for breaking him out of his conservative religious upbringing and getting him interested in the genre. Later, he found Svengoolie during a difficult period of his life, which is why he improvised a shout-out during Jack's monologue, referencing the horror host's hometown of Berwyn, Illinois. His respect for the craft goes so deep, he hosted the Fangoria Chainsaw Awards as his own horror host persona, Dr. Fearless. Of course, Jack Delroy's a late-night host, not a horror host, so to prepare for the role, Dastmalchian would go to sleep every night watching late-night shows. He'd watch everyone: Carson, Cavett, Conan, Letterman, Jimmy's, Fallon, and Kimmel, Seth Meyers, and Phil Donahue. But the biggest inspiration for Dastmalchian and the Cairns brothers was Don Lane, an American who hosted an Australian late-night show in the 70s. Dastmalchian found him the most open-minded and curious about supernatural guests, much like Jack Delroy. Lane even once had a heated moment with James Randi when the skeptic called out a psychic named Doris Stokes.
Right, anybody. We're going for a commercial break, and you can pick.
Jesus, dude, breaking glasses and shit? Come on. When they come back from break, Jack tells the audience not to worry. Christou is fine. Sorry, hold for ambulance. Okay, and clear. He says his next guest might make a believer out of Carmichael yet.
My sixth sense is telling me we may just see this check again before the night is through.
It's the author of Conversations with the Devil, Dr. June Ross Mitchell. She runs a Psi research center that recently got entangled with the First Church of Abraxas. That's a cult led by Xander Diabo, who says their god Abraxas thinks they should live deliciously.
Abraxas shows us there is no good, no evil, no redemption. Only what we desire and how we obtain it.
Diabo's appearance and name are a reference to Anton Szandor LaVey, founder of the Church of Satan and author of the Satanic Bible. Charges are made against the church for kidnapping children and possessing firearms, Waco style. So the FBI storms their headquarters, Waco style. Diabo and his supporters light a defiant fire that kills them, so I'll count the leader and the 8 members we can confirm he had from the video shown. The only survivor was a 10-year-old girl named Lily, who was given to Dr. June's research center. During sessions, she made contact with a demon speaking through Lily's body, so why don't we bring them both, or rather all 3 of them, out right now? Ain't she adorable, folks? And the camera loves her!
So pleased that you could join us today.
Thank you, Mr. Delroy. I'm so glad you could join us too.
Or maybe she just loves the camera. Can't stop looking into him, that's for sure. Damn, girl, chill out. It's not a staring contest, all right? I love Ingrid Torelli as Lily. She's such a good and unique horror movie kid. Even her voice is different than the usual creepy kid timbre.
Time to make ourselves pretty again.
Don't I already look pretty, Jack?
And sometimes it's even different still. Before shooting scenes, Torelli would stare at the mirror in her dressing room to detach from herself.
I walked past her dressing room at one point, and she was staring in the mirror at herself, getting in character and preparing. I was like, God, I know I've been a professional creepy guy for a long time. This one's out-creeped me by like 1,000%.
Her guardian June is played by Laura Gordon, who we saw as Ashley in Saw 5, the first victim of that movie's trap plot. During a break, Dr. June warns Jack that Lily's becoming unstable. She doesn't think they should go forward with having her on the show, but Jack and Leo aren't about to sacrifice potential ratings gold. They especially need a win after what Leo just learned.
Christou is dead.
Yep, our Fairweather psychic's brain bursted, and he died in that ambulance we heard on his way to the hospital. Jack doesn't relay that info when they go back on air. As Carmichael pokes and prods, June explains that her clinic has studied real instances of psychic phenomena, including demonic possession.
Psychic infestation is the term we prefer, but yes.
And June says Lily's psyche is infested as fuck, but not by Abraxas. It's a minor demon who serves Abraxas, I guess? I don't know, just go with it. She's an expert after all. Check out all her cool expert stuff with the ritualistic dagger. Lily calls the demon Mr. Wiggles.
He kind of wriggles his way inside my head, and then he wriggles his way out.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Wriggles. I was thinking of something else. Anyway, that bastard wriggles his way through their power system and uses a theremin to blow up some drinking glasses. Jack knows this thing could wriggle higher ratings for him, so he gets the audience to pressure Dr. June into doing a demonic showcase.
Please stay tuned for a live television first, as we attempt to commune with the devil. But
Not before a word from our sponsors.
And everyone's thrilled about that, except for Gus and June. And that skeleton with his fucked up looking fingers. That poor little bastard's hands. Gus voices his displeasure during a break, saying they shouldn't be fucking around with demon shit. He and the crew are scared, but Jack tells him to buck up and get on with the show. When they come back, Jack gives a dramatic introduction for Dr. June's demonstration with Lily. Come on, people, you all see how that girl is sitting there giggling evilly. Someone needs to stop this shit. June puts Lily in a trance and pages Mr. Wriggles. Lily starts wriggling violently, damn near breaks the chair. Mr. Wriggles is in control now, and that guy is pretty scary looking. Also says he's an old friend of Jack's.
We go way back. We met amongst the tall trees. Remember?
Oh shit, is that the Phantom Patriot? I love the layered voices of possessed Lily, with Torelli's mixed nicely with another deeper one. Together, they have the power of earning FCC fines.
Jack and June went up the hill to fuck each other's brains out. Jack and June went up the hill to each other.
That's enough!
It's great how the censors were able to bleep it during the second verse, when they anticipated it. Neither the slap nor a Latin chant snaps Lily out of it, and she grows more accusatory towards Jack.
How could you let it happen, Jack? How could you let it happen?
Her voice is now Minnie's, Jack's deceased wife, the same voice that came out of her earlier.
Time to make ourselves pretty again.
Don't I already look pretty, Jack?
So, is Mr. Wriggles a demon who serves Abraxas or Madeline's spirit? Whoever he is, his final act is levitating Lily's chair. After that, he's outie, and Lily returns to Earth. The experience leaves everyone shaken up, but Jack already wants a recurring Lily segment to maintain these new high ratings.
We're back. Baby, back! We're back from the fucking dead.
Leo's practically getting her an agent, and berating Gus for voicing opposition. Aw, poor Gus. All they've got to do now is bring it on home.
And then we'll wrap it up, throw to Cleo.
Hell yes! Can't wait for Cleo James. They return to air where Jack apologizes for what happened, but Lily says she's fine for the most part.
I'm sorry if Mr. Wriggles said anything rude.
And just the usual demon sex stuff. It's what they do. Carmichael doesn't buy it and says Lily's being exploited. He promises he can prove that everything they just saw was an act.
I'll need a volunteer. Thank you, Gus.
Do as you're told, Gus.
Oh, Gus. Poor guy only has one request.
My wife likes the way my head sits on my shoulders, Mr. Haig. I hope you're not planning to make it spin.
That's a reference to The Exorcist, which the characters would have been familiar with, and which was a big inspiration for the Karens while they made this film. Other inspirations included non-horror films like Network, The King of Comedy, and the Mondo documentary, The Killing of America. In fact, the whole style of Late Night's opening prologue is based on The Killing of America, even going so far as to use the same font for the title card. Haha, hit you late with it this time. Carmichael sets the stage for his own hypnosis act, one that involves an awesome little watch thing. Look at it go! Oh man, how'd he get it to, what? Whoa, that was great! He uses it to hypnotize Gus and everyone in the studio via monitors. Then he gets Gus to believe he's got something on his neck, or rather, something in his neck. Something like motherfucking worms! And Gus hates worms, so he'd better get him out of there. Ah, gross, ew, it's all worms and mud. Ah, sick, yeah. Car winks at us like it's a trick, but then appears to lose control as Gus continues being afflicted by body worms. And then it happens. A giant worm bursts forth out of Gus's eyeball. Holy wow, this effect rules. It's so disgusting. I hope it never ends.
Dreamer, here, awake!
Oh, it ended. Carmichael had never really lost control. This was all a trick. Nothing we just saw was real. I think Lily knew the whole time.
Why is Gus acting so silly?
Carmichael knew this group hypnosis would work based on an earlier trick he pulled with the ritualistic dagger.
You truly are a suggestible lot.
Handy to know.
He shows everyone the objective reality by playing back the tape. It was all just the power of suggestion. There were never really any worms at all.
I've never been so embarrassed in my whole life.
This poor man. Sad Sack Gus is played by Risa Terry in his first ever on-screen role. He comes from an improv comedy background, so he and Dos Malchin would riff on set. Some of their ad-libs made it into the final film. Meanwhile, Carmichael Haig is played by Ian Bliss, who was Bane in The Matrix Reloaded and Revolution, both of which also featured Christopher Kirby as Mouser. Kirby plays stage manager Phil in this movie, and was in the Upgrade kill count as a thug who got murdered in the face. Carmichael says this is exactly what June did, but Lily suggests that they check for themselves by playing the earlier footage. I mean, great idea, kid, but sorry, I don't think we've got the time.
I'm sorry, our producers are telling me that the lovely Miss Cleo James is standing by to take us out.
Hell yes! I knew Jack was a Cleopatra like me. He knows how much we've all been waiting for.
I just think maybe we should bring her back at a later date because we can't leave everybody hanging like this.
Oh, I'm sorry, what? What? In lieu of the incredible Cleo James, fucking bullshit! They play back the tape, and nope, Lily's still looking as Reagan as ever. Jack notices a glitch and asks them to go frame by frame like they were kill counting a Purge movie. Ah, man, the actual thing that was there for a frame was this, Madeline's face in the back of Lily's head. But for the playback scare, they went with goofy Force Ghost Madeline? What a bummer. As Lily's voice indicated earlier, Madeline is here. I'm still not sure if she's Mr. Wriggles. I don't think the movie is ultimately clear. Whoever's in there though, they've got too many appliances plugged in, because Lily's body is shorting out like a toaster in a bathtub. I kinda like this effect. It's like she's in the middle of a tug of war played by, oh my god, her head just split open, hell yeah! Looking like the Thing if it were a furnace. Gus tries to compel the demon through the power of Christ, but he's killed when his head is twisted around and he falls through the glass table. It's a death that was, of course, foreshadowed earlier.
My wife likes the way my head sits on my shoulders, Mr. Haig. I hope you're not planning to make it spin.
I just wish the effect didn't look so bad. The audience starts to skedaddle and June tries to interfere. For that, Lily lifts her by the necklace and kills her. Not by strangulation, but by cutting straight through her neck. Holy shit. Carmichael's seen enough. He gets down on his knees and praises his new Abraxas overlord. He even tries to pay out properly, but his check ain't legal demon tender. This moment was also foreshadowed earlier.
We may just see this check again before the night is through.
Lily kills Carmichael by shaking him up, then melting his skin and turning it into lava? Oh yeah, his face is melting. He did. This finale is a nice showcase for the effects work from Sharp Effects. Looks like they handled everything, from the 3 hours of makeup to turn Ingrid Torelli possessed, to the snapping open of her head, from the animatronic worm that bursts out of Gus's eye, to the simple bladder vein that pulsed from Christu's forehead. Great work! Jack is saved by Leo and stares down Lily as he leaves. After he's gone, she pulls the camera into her face and gives us a static feed. Wait, what is that? Oh, that was a face. Now, you'd think that'd be it. This is clearly the end of the live broadcast we were watching. But the movie breaks format and starts revisiting scenes we saw earlier, only with Jack cognizant of what's happening.
How did I get here?
The same way you always get here, Jack. Straight down 5th and right on 47th.
Aw, it's good to hear Gus laugh again. Jack's not laughing though, especially when the movie's aspect ratio changes into widescreen. Things get weird in widescreen. Like real weird, that nasty eyeworm thing is back. Jack tries to tell any viewers out there to stop watching this nightmare.
Turn it off! Turn it off! Turn it off!
Sounding like the end of Halloween 3. After some freaky flashes, Jack's back at the UBC contract signing.
What did you have to sacrifice to get here tonight?
Oh, Jack Delroy's greatest sacrifice is yet to come.
That line was also heard the first time we saw this scene.
What did you have to sacrifice to get here tonight?
The answer appears to be his wife Madeline. Seems like Jack went to the Grove and asked how he could be successful, then underwent a ritual and agreed to a sacrifice. That's the reason Madeline got cancer and died. And for what, the 2 spot? Conan would never. To be clear, Das Mulchin says Jack did not knowingly sacrifice his wife. Yeah, it was more of a monkey's paw situation, an unintended consequence of dealing with the devil.
You start to wonder if you had access to things that could help you pull the levers of your own success or well-being, what would you do?
A door in this nightmare slides open to show Jack a Kubrickian image. Madeline on her deathbed, blaming him for her illness. I don't think this actually happened in real life. I think it's just Jack's guilty conscience. Seems like he's trying to convince himself more than Madeline, and convince us the viewers most of all.
It wasn't supposed to turn out this way. You have to believe me.
He grovels at her side and she asks him to put her out of her misery. She indicates the ritualistic dagger and he complies. He grabs it and stabs her in the gut. Only it wasn't Madeline he stabbed, it was Lily. He killed her right on the set of his show, it would seem. I mean, hey, that's not a bad thing. She really was a demon who killed everyone, since their bodies are still strewn everywhere. The movie ends with sirens growing closer as Jack tries to wake himself up out of this nightmare. The transmission ends, so it is done. How many night owies did our night owly audience get? Let's find out with the help of our special guest, Mr. Wriggles. We counted 15 kills in Late Night with the Devil, with the victims consisting of 8 males and 7 females. That gives us this mostly even late night pie chart. Surprisingly, we've only seen this count and breakdown once before, in in Ready or Not. With a runtime of 93 minutes, Late Night had a kill on average every 6.2 minutes. I'll give the Golden Chainsaw for coolest kill to Lily, as long as we include her demonic head splitting open at the seams. I know that's not what killed her necessarily, but I love the effect so much, I wanted to reward it. Dome Machete for lamest kill will go to Gus, since I really don't like the way the effect looks. Also, Gus was bad. And here, have these too. I'll give the Roaring Lion for coolest production card to Good Fiend, which is actually David Dastmalchian's company. It's got cute stop motion that I appreciate. Conversely, the Sleeping Lion for lamest production card will go to Vic Screen. What, just some bass tones and bold letters? Get more creative, Vic, whoever you are. And that's it. Late Night with the Devil had its wide release in 2024. You know, its limited theatrical run gave distributor IFC its biggest opening weekend ever. Yeah. Stay tuned to see what we have for you next week. But until then, I'm James A. Janice. This has been the Kill Count.
On the next Kill Count.
Looking to get away this summer? Need a break from the family?
No kids week?
That's not true.
It says no kid. Priska, you should have checked.
Then you're in luck, because here at Anamika Resort, you'll have the most memorable vacation.
Welcome to our version of paradise.
Discover delicious cocktails, spectacular scenery, and of course, the beach that makes you old.
A once-in-a-lifetime experience. I only recommend it to certain guests.
The beach that makes you old is our world-famous hotspot of existential dread.
Wow. I just got chills.
It's where boys become men, and men become crazy.
Do you know that Jack Nicholson did a film with Marlon Brando?
Oh no. Hey, why is that guy acting so crazy?
It's hard to explain.
He's probably just crazy for the clear water and smooth sand you'll find at the beach that makes you old. From Sixth Sense director and twist enthusiast M. Night Shyamalan comes Old, featuring the beach that makes you old.
Just follow the path down to the beach.
It also features characters who don't sound human, in true Shyamalan fashion.
I have 42 conch shells. Amazing.
They're more like walking, talking points of view, representing different ideas of how to escape the beach that makes you old.
What I know is that we have to get these kids to a hospital. Now.
It'll come off as stilted and weird, but hey, there are also disturbing scenes and genuinely sad moments. So, yay! This week, see if you can predict the twist when you watch Old.
Somebody will figure this out.
Here's a hint. They're all ghosts.
You're lying! You're all lying!
Okay, you got me. That's false advertising. But we're being honest when we say it's the next Kill Count, only on Dead Meat.
Wow, that's cool. Okay, bye.
Old can currently be watched on the pictured streaming platforms. Dead Meat always recommends you watch the movie for yourself before its Kill Count. It's the only way to have your own properly informed opinion. Kill Counts are never meant to replace the experience of watching a film.
Thanks a lot for watching this Kill Count on Late Night with the Devil. Like I said, we talked about this movie more in depth on the podcast, so check that out at Dead Meat Presents. I can already tell you this one's a contender for various Dead Meat Horror Awards next year. Probably Best Original and definitely a nomination for David Dastmalchian. I mean, I say that now, but watch like 6 incredible movies come out and just bump it off. But nah, I don't think so. This one just feels so cozy and fun to watch. I like getting to play a late night host in this one with the style that I was trying to go for. What do you guys think? Do you think I could be a late night host? I like talking to people and I'm good at reading a teleprompter. And you know what would be great? Those late night studios are probably way more air conditioned than this one. Hopefully I'm not just fucking sweating all over the camera. Also, I hope you can't hear Molly barking in the background of this episode. She does not respect the on-air sign. Thanks everyone. Be good people.